Hola, soy Andrea Redondo, la fundadora del Club de Inversión, y hoy te traigo un vídeo que no te puedes perder si te interesan las inversiones en criptomonedas. En concreto, se trata de una entrevista a Paolo Ardoino, CTO o Chief Technology Officer de la mayor empresa de stablecoins del mundo, Tether, en concreto, que es la tercera capitalización de mercado, tan solo por detrás de Bitcoin y Ethereum. Por lo tanto, se trata realmente de un mastodonte, y con él he abordado pues una gran cantidad de temas que sin duda alguna te van a interesar. Vamos a hablar, bueno, pues de qué son las stablecoins, de qué diferencias hay. Vamos a hablar del Tether, el USDT, cómo se pueden obtener ingresos pasivos a través de ellos, consejos de seguridad, de cómo hacer investigaciones acerca de proyectos que pretenden cambiar en el futuro, cómo ve el tema de la regulación a futuro y muchísimas otras cosas. También hablaremos de, cómo no, del Tether Gold, de todas estas stablecoins que no están ancladas a monedas fiat, sino a otros activos, como por ejemplo el oro. Hablamos de activos deflacionarios, inflacionarios y muchas otras cosas. Así que de verdad no te lo pierdas. Si te interesa, a cambio de todo esto, simplemente te pido que le des a me gusta y que compartas el vídeo en redes sociales para darle máxima difusión. Y como no, no olvides suscribirte al canal y activar las notificaciones para ser alertado en cuanto subo un nuevo vídeo. ¡Comenzamos! So welcome, Paolo. We're more than happy to have you with us today here. So I guess most of the people who are into cryptos already know you. You're the CTO of one of the largest stablecoin in the world, third market cap just after Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is impressive with billions and billions of market cap. So if you could tell us a bit more about you, how you got there, how Tether was kind of created, that would be awesome to start with.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you very much, Andrea, for having me today in your show. So, Tether, yes, definitely is a really special animal. Tether was born in 2014, was born for a clear necessity of the crypto market, the Bitcoin industry, that was, I would say, still at early stages back then. In 2014 was the first year that Bitcoin surpassed the $1,000 price. And it was clear that the industry, the crypto industry, was maturing. But as it was maturing, it was lacking certain fundamental features. One of those that was the arbitraging feature. So traders were not able to easily arbitrage the price of Bitcoin across multiple trading venues. The reason for that was that Bitcoin, as we all know, moves within blocks that last 10 minutes. So in order to confirm a Bitcoin block, you need to wait for 10 minutes on average. But if you need to move a fiat, so dollars, from one trading venue to another, you might well wait 1 day, or especially in the past, we are talking about 2014, you had to wait for 1 day, 5 days, 7 days. It was super painful. So the reason why we decided, so the group that was running the Bitfinex exchange decided to create Tether was a clear evidence of a lacking, or the infrastructural lacking of our industry. So in order to become an efficient industry, you need to move Bitcoin and dollars at the same pace, the same speed. So you need to be able to send also dollars within 10 minutes on across trading venue at least. So just in simple terms, the job of the arbitrageur, the market maker that does the arbitrage, is selling Bitcoin where the price is higher and buying Bitcoin where the price is lower, and so on and so forth. So if you sell Bitcoin where the price is higher, you have also to basically you have to sell. You have to move the dollars back to a location where the price is lower, and so that you can buy back the Bitcoin. So that was difficult because the only instrument at the time was having the wires, using the wires, international wires. So the Tether team decided to form this new concept that was taking the brilliant innovation called blockchain that was powering Bitcoin, and using that to actually move dollars on the blockchain. So actually, Tether is a dollar on the blockchain.
Good. So there's different types of stable coins, of course. I understand that the main stablecoin of Tether, actually right now, the one that is third by market cap is one that is pegged to the US dollar 1 to 1. And we will speak a bit later about the Tether Gold that you are developing. But basically, for someone who could be new and hears about stablecoins for the first time, can you please explain a bit more about the advantage of the lack of volatility of stablecoins in relation to other crypto assets, which I think is one of the main benefits for investors of stablecoins, other than the speed that you have, of course, already mentioned?
So definitely, over time, it became clear that stablecoins didn't have only an arbitrage interest, but actually were becoming more and more a fundamental part of our industry, and not just the crypto industry as we are seeing today, but actually they are the perfect replacement for many for all the microtransactions as well, in debit cards, credit cards, remittances, and all these type of things. So TetherUSDT, yes, as you rightfully say, is the most used one, is the most liquid, is the biggest in market cap by a big chunk. We are seeing traders that or end users that when they want to exit their positions, they need a stable asset, an asset where they can hold, that is not subject to volatility. Bitcoin is great. Bitcoin is, of course, my preferred asset, but it varies a lot in price, and not all the users want to be constantly exposed to the volatility of the crypto assets. And if Bitcoin is volatile, that there are many others that are even more so volatile. So that's Bitcoin. Tether is the answer to that. Is the asset that everyone can hold and treat as a dollar. Use it as a reserve asset, as a way to remove the volatility component from their portfolio.
Good. One of the main criticisms that people normally make to fiat currency or governmental money is that they can print money whenever they want, just kind of from one day to the next. Whereas with cryptocurrencies, because they're decentralized and the protocols and how they work, it's completely different, especially the ones that are deflationary like Bitcoin. So one question that I've always been intrigued about, if fiat currency is inflationary by nature and the more money there is in circulation, the lower will be the purchasing power of holders of that money. Is that something that can also be said about stablecoins which are pegged to, for example, the US dollar, for example?
Absolutely. It's important to say, first of all, that Tether represents $1 and is backed by assets that cover 100% of all the USDT ever issued. So, but of course, if the Fed, for example, keeps issuing new dollars, the dilution, the purchasing power also of Tether USDT diminishes, because it's still representing $1. So it means that the T-bills that we have that are backing Tether portfolio are actually, being diluted as well. The entire value of the dollar market is going to be diluted. So Tether is not worth more than $1 or less than $1. It's worth $1. So whatever the dollar does, Tether will follow.
Great. And that leads me perfectly well to my next question. People who are new to the cryptocurrency world might not know what happened in the past, but of course, those who have been there for a bit longer might wonder what happened to Tether in the past with all the SEC investigation and all that. So I understand that you're now over it, but if you would like to guide us a bit to what the SEC was concerned about, what you did to deal with it, and how you're now over it, that would be great.
So just to be correct, we had we dealt with the New York Attorney General and the CFTC. So they are two regulators. One is from the state of New York, and the second is federal level, the CFTC. So in both cases, the matters are resolved, and we settled. So we decided to settle with the regulator and move on. from that point over, we as a group of companies with Tether especially, we decided to provide additional information, additional transparency. That was what our community was asking. So from that point over, we went full in providing extreme level details on all the backing of Tether, all the all the information, also specific information about the backing, right? Because from your question, I think that one of the points that are interesting is that after the two investigation, it came out that we needed to provide a certain type of information to make the crypto community more comfortable in the backing of immensely growing stablecoins. So you have this huge assets, Tether, that keeps growing. Everyone is using it. It's trading from 60 to 120 billion per day, and it's fair to ask questions, right? So I would do the same. And that is what we did, right? So these two investigations pushed us to do something that no other stablecoin at that moment, and still now, is not doing. So providing a level of details that would make everyone comfortable. In fact, I believe that after we, to early 2021, when we did the settlements, early 2021, we basically closed all the two settlements. Then we started providing a breakdown of reserves. So we were showing all the components that were making the Tether USD portfolio. And in those disclosures, there was also contained the famous commercial papers. So the community was starting asking, okay, what is the composition? Are these instruments safe? So we went one step further, and we provided also the ratings of these instruments, and it came out that the vast majority of these instruments are rated A2 or better, so it means A2 and A1. That is really comparable to the T-bills, the treasury bills that are considered the safest assets that you can hold in to represent a dollar, right? So it's for us has been a process. We have been discussing with the regulators. We settled the cases. We decided to move on. We went multiple steps forward. And we're in a situation where today, a few weeks ago, even Fitch, that is one of the biggest rating agencies in the world, and it's US-based, there are 30, as Standard & Poor's, Fitch, and Moody's. And Fitch came out with a report saying that actually TetherUSDT, Tether in general, disclosures are the most open, transparent, and details especially. So that is, I believe, an important note, because it shows that although in the past there was definitely some food and some concern, today the work of Tether team made our community much more comfortable and much more than what our competition is doing.
And so we've mentioned so far stablecoins, which are backed by fiat currencies. But we would also like to know a bit more about Tether Gold, which I understand is backed by gold. How has it been created, and especially what is the advantage, for example, for an investor for investing in Tether Gold instead of investing in physical gold?
Absolutely. So, one of your questions was asking me effectively what happens if a central bank would keep printing, right? So a central bank could print twice the market cap of their national currency, and they can keep going. We have seen that in the last 30 years, the dollar. So the number of dollars in circulation have been at least doubled. So of course that is insane amount of new dollars in circulation. And that cannot be possible with gold, right? So actually gold shares some of the features of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is scarce, there are only 21 million, as gold is scarce, right? So it's been said that 95% of the gold that is achievable to extract has been already extracted. that is pretty much aligned with Bitcoin, right? So we are now surpassing 19 million Bitcoin already created. And on the other side, gold is extremely expensive to extract. The same thing is true for Bitcoin. It's extremely expensive to produce because the mining costs a lot of money. So you can see how until mid last century, the majority of the national currencies were pegged actually by gold reserves. You could, as a central bank, you could issue a certain amount of new money based on on your reserves of gold. And they eventually, after the middle of last century, central banks decided to peg themselves from the gold, so they could print as much as they wanted. But we think that at Tether, probably the best stable coin could be actually Tether Gold rather than TetherUSDT. Although we love TetherUSDT, we think that Tether Gold is like the natural version of Bitcoin. Right, you have like the physical gold and the digital gold, and gold has been used for the last 5,000 years as the main currency, the main exchange currency, right, the main store of wealth. So why not going back to our roots that worked really well for so long, and use that as a stable coin? So if you are selling your Bitcoin, maybe instead of selling them for dollar, you could sell them for gold.
Great. And speaking of competition, you've already mentioned that transparency is one of the key elements that distinguishes you from the others. What other elements would you say that make a Tether or USDT different to other stablecoins that we can see also on the top 10, 20 of market cap currently?
Well, there are two types of let's say competitors. The first one is the ones that is mimicking Tether, that is the centralized stablecoin. Tether is a centralized stablecoin because it uses the fiat rails, right? So we still have we rely on our bank accounts, and so it's a centralized stablecoin. So compared to them, I think that Tether is a product that is clearly built for the crypto industry, but not just for the crypto lovers, the people that love to that are in our industry, but it's built with the same ethos of the crypto industry. That it means freedom, that it means being there for the unbanked. Right? There are 2 billion people in this world that don't have access to basic financial services. They are called unbanked, and not because they are bad people, but because they are too poor to have even a bank account open in their name. That is a really sad situation, right? So everyone should have a democratic and fair access to financial services. And Tether shares the ethos of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin was born to solve this, to bring a more transparent and safe and fair access to financial services, and Tether follows that path. So we are not the instrument for other banks, right? We don't care if other banks are going to use Tether or not. We do care that people in emerging markets like Latin America, Turkey, India, they have an enormous potential, but they are first of all stuck with maybe devaluating currency, national currency, and second, they have the need of a really fast, safe, transparent, and cheap to use currency. So we are seeing that in places, in countries like Venezuela or Argentina, Brazil, Turkey. Tether is representing more than 10% of the FX volume, and also in Dubai and in other places, you can find people actually living on Tether, as without a bank account, a normal bank account, but just to live with Tether. That is for us the best of it tells us that we achieved our goal. So we want to be an instrument for the people for the last rather than the first, right? Banks don't need this instrument like Tether. They were doing well before us, and they will probably continue on their own path. We want to be an instrument for the people.
Great. And speaking of people, I understand that recently Tether has become legal tender in Lugano in Switzerland. Do you see that tendency evolving possibly in other places of the world, or the market is not yet ripe for that?
So I think that it's important to say that Tether became de facto legal tender. So it means that the city will not force everyone to use Tether, but the city will help citizens to use Tether and Bitcoin and Luga, that is their stablecoin, as an option for payments. And we believe that this will generate enormous amount of interest, enormous amount of tourism directed to the city and so on. We are seeing that already as a result, right? So in the last 40 days, we are seeing more than 20 startups deciding to incorporate or move here directly, and a lot of capital flowing into the area of Lugano. So we are extremely excited about that, and we think that it's a no-brainer also for other cities and countries to decide to do the same. Because I think one of the most interesting things about our industry is that we are tribal and we are nomad. So means that if we find a place that support our vision, that supports our ideology, we will. It's more likely that we are going to move there, right? Because we are seeing happening similar to Dubai. Dubai, there are a lot of people there from the crypto industry because Dubai is open to cryptocurrencies, and also inherently that brings also wealth. And so we are discussing with other places that are definitely interested to follow the path of Lugano. But as a company, we want to show first that a city like Lugano, we want to deliver in one place, show that it works, show how it should be done, and then use it as a template for other places.
Right. And how do you see regulation evolving, not only in Europe, but in other countries that might be a bit more maybe skeptic about the cryptocurrency world in general? Do you see that maybe because the thing about stable coins is that you were mentioning that it's particularly a threat for the banking system in the sense that we will speak about investment opportunities. And of course, a couple of years ago, that was done centralizedly by banks, but now more and more there's DeFi and so on, and one can obtain really good interest only through stablecoins, for example, which bear much less risk than other cryptocurrencies because they're less volatile, of course. And my personal view is that stablecoins might be one of the first cryptocurrencies, so to say, to be regulated. But I wanted to see what your view is on this.
So definitely regulation will come both for stablecoins and for the general crypto industry. I think that is fair that they will come. I think that stablecoins like Tether will benefit from having clear regulations. Also, when it comes to providing transparency, right? So why we should provide more information than the others? We are happy to do so, but maybe everyone should be leveled. Right. So, and I think that being subject to the same standards would benefit us because if there are no rules, you have to keep wondering what you should be doing, how you should be doing, if it is enough, it is not enough, and so on. So it is important that in our case specifically, there are going to be rules. So stablecoin definitely are leveraging the banking system. So it's important that we work all together to make the rules clear. When it comes, I agree with you that definitely some yields, especially due to the DeFi space, are in a way not well seen by the banking industry. Of course, especially in the past years, with the dollar having a low interest rate, that was causing some capital flows into stable coins and DeFi. I think that with the spike of the interest rates now, that could be less of a problem. And but also I can tell you that in our case, for example, Tether was never big in DeFi. Definitely, our competitors are a bit stronger in DeFi than us, and our main. Actually, the main advantage of Tether and the reason why Tether is successful is because it's mainly used as a payment as a payment solution. So, we are more interested to compete with maybe MasterCard and Visa and MoneyGram and all these companies that easily make 3 to 5% on each transaction. That is an insane amount. That is unfair for the people that work hard for earning the money, and then they make a transaction, they get charged randomly 30%. That's going to be quite sad and anti-democratic. So that's where we are focusing more on. But definitely, I think that 2022, we are seeing it with Europe working as fast as they can on the MiCA license, as well as UK, suggesting that they would be really open to have to be the place to regulate stable coins. And then we're seeing Lugano, of course, being on the forefront as a city of the adoption. But we are seeing Dubai being open as well to cryptos, and of course El Salvador that made the news as working. It has been the path opener for everyone else, right? El Salvador showed that what can be done. You can be brave enough to actually embrace Bitcoin and embrace the sense of freedom that Bitcoin brings with it. So we are going to see the work our world being subject to deep changes, I believe, due to the regulations in the next 2 years.
Good. And most of the people who are watching this interview are investors who, of course, want to make the most of their money. So I think it's clear for them from what they've watched so far that it is not possible to make capital gains with Tether or other stable coins precisely because they're backed by like 1-to-1 and they don't fluctuate with price. But of course, we can generate passive income. I've spoken at length about this in other videos. The audience already knows my view about how to create passive income through stablecoins, but I wanted to hear your view on because of course there's different ways to do that. Which ways do you think are best to kind of get your money flowing and generate passive income through stablecoins?
So definitely, our industry, in DeFi is a good way to with the lending, with decentralized lending platforms. That would be one of the best ways to generate passive income. One thing that I would suggest is, of course, we have seen, unfortunately, in the past months and years, how some of these projects can be either hacked or rug pull. So I think that at the core of the concept of making or generating passive income, there is also the education, the research on the team that is providing these tools. Because you might generate 34% per year, even more, but then if you're a rug pull or the project is hacked, is a little bit counterproductive. So I think that our industry provides enormous opportunity to generate additional wealth for you, but never underestimate the importance of doing a lot of research before deciding which one to pick. Don't get lured into really high APYs. That is at least my opinion. Always try to be conservative. Always look at the projects that have audits. See if the funders, make sure that funders are known, that they are not anonymous. That we are seeing many problems in our industry, of course, and there are many great ideas, but also problems. So you always educate yourself. That's what I would suggest.
But I totally agree with you, and that's always the advice I give, because there's, as you say, there's no sense in getting amazing returns that then you lose them or they get hacked. And then if I might just add, I think what you say is totally makes total sense. And then also diversify between different platforms. You don't want to put all the eggs in the same basket. I think that's quite obvious, but it's never. It's always good to mention it. And I had one last question on my end. Like, do you have any advice in general you would give to people who say, okay, I'd like to start digging further into the crypto world, especially stablecoins, because it's a bit more conservative. Is there any advice you would like to share with them as to how to start, how to, I don't know, anything security-wise, anything you would like to share with us?
I think that one of the interesting thing that of our industry is that, of course, it's is feeling the power, feeling the positive. You should have a positive feeling in keeping control of your wealth, right? As part of my job is also running an exchange, and it's an extremely secure exchange. Still, I always advise people to do their own research, as I said, but also feeling how, testing, trying how they can have their own wallet, have their own ledger, so buy a ledger or a treasure or whatever other hardware wallet, and try to keep portion while you maybe make money. Part of that money should be always kept as a reserve in a cold wallet, in your cold wallet, on a hardware wallet. So I think that especially with stable coins, you should never try to use all them and put all your wealth in crypto and trying to deploy all your capital, right? It's always, don't be greedy, always invest only what you can afford potentially to lose, invest in a lot of time in research, understand the market, use stable coins, and of course, I always suggest to have a little bit of your wealth in Bitcoin. Never hurts. It's for the long term.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I don't have any more questions. I think it was super valuable what you shared with us today. If you want to add anything else, now is the moment.
No, I think that we covered, I really enjoyed the interview, so thank you very much. And I think we really covered many interesting points. I really appreciate that you gave me the opportunity to talk about Tether and, the type of disclosures we are doing, the steps that we're doing, of course, to improve ourselves, right? Our industry, is like being in the early years of the past century where, cars were invented, but there were no roads. There was no manual to drive, and there were no rules, no laws to tell you how you should drive, right? And what are the street code was not there. So we in our industry are created amazing amount of wealth, an amazing amount of products, ideas, and it keep going. So I think that what we did as an industry has been astonishing, and it was not just the work of few people, but everyone, right? We are now tens of millions of people. And I think that us as Tether started this project in 2014 and had to really figure out everything from our side was challenging, and we are happy to help and talk about our experience so that others can maybe learn and it's all about education.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time. I know running such a big company must be very time consuming and a lot of things popping up. So I do appreciate a lot of your time, and I'm sure the community as well. So thank you again. I will leave in the description of the video links so that people can know more about Tether, because it's certainly very interesting to know more about the project, the company behind, and all the projects that you have ahead. And again, it was a pleasure having you today here with us, and we wish you a lot of success, a lot of growth in Tether, and I'm sure you, as you were saying, you will change a lot of lives through all the facilities you're providing for all those people that are unbanked. And for those of us who do have bank accounts but look for other endeavors, I'm sure we will hear much more about Tether. So again, thank you so much, Paolo. It was a pleasure having you here.
Thank you so much, Andrea.
Good, take care. Bueno, y hasta aquí esta entrevista a Paolo Ardoino, CTO de Tether. Espero de verdad que te haya gustado. A mí la verdad es que me ha encantado entrevistarle y ver su punto de vista acerca de ciertas cosas de las cuales yo te había ya exprimido mi punto de vista, pero es siempre interesante ver cómo lo ven personas que están realmente inmersas en el sector, que se dedican a esto profesionalmente. Y bueno, pues al final Tether es la mayor empresa por capitalización de mercado de las stablecoins, es realmente enorme y bueno, pues tiene mucha visión de cómo van a evolucionar las cosas. Así que de verdad espero que te haya gustado esta entrevista. Si es el caso, dale por favor a me gusta y comparte el vídeo con otras personas a las que le pueda interesar. No te olvides suscribirte al canal y activar las notificaciones para recibir todos los vídeos que publico semanalmente. Y si quieres saber más acerca de las criptomonedas, te quieres adentrar en este fascinante mundo, pero no sabes bien cómo hacerlo, en la descripción del vídeo te dejo un enlace donde te vas a poder descargar una clase completa de introducción a las criptomonedas que he hecho, donde, bueno, pues aparte de explicarte en más detalle qué son las stablecoins, te hablo de distintas estrategias de inversión que puedes aplicar de manera muy sencilla. Es una clase muy completa, casi 2 horas de formación totalmente gratuita, ¿de acuerdo? Y además viene acompañada de un glosario de más de 250 palabras, las más utilizadas en el mundo de las criptos, para que de verdad, gracias a la clase introductoria y al glosario, puedas adentrarte en este fascinante mundo. Como te digo, lo tienes todo abajo en la descripción del vídeo y también te lo dejo aquí arriba en las tarjetas para que simplemente pinches y lo puedas descargar, porque de verdad es un regalo que te va a encantar. Así que nada, lo dicho, espero que te haya gustado este vídeo. Dime en comentarios si es el caso, si te ha gustado y qué otras personas te gustaría que entrevistara en próximos vídeos. Y yo con esto me despido y hasta el próximo vídeo. Te deseo unas muy felices inversiones.